Honorable Minister of Finance of Bangladesh and V20 chairperson, distinguished V20 finance ministers, heads of and representatives of international development institutions, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to begin by thanking His Excellency Mustafa Kamal, Minister of Finance, the People's Republic of Bangladesh, and V20 Chair for extending this invitation for me to participate in the V20 Summit. It is with great pleasure that I deliver this statement at this important event where economies systematically vulnerable to global climate crisis come together to exchange and build the sustainable financing of development. The Gambia has been ranked as the 28th most vulnerable country to the impacts of climate change. As such, most of the country's economic productive base, including agriculture, tourism, fisheries, are vulnerable to extreme climate events such as drought and prolonged dry spells, windstorm, flooding, intense heat, and coastal erosion. These have hindered progress on socioeconomic development and negatively impact our poverty reduction efforts. Nevertheless, the Gambia continues to demonstrate strong leadership in tackling the climate crisis despite contributing the least to causing it. This has been manifested by the Climate Action Tracker rating, which shows that the Gambia's unconditional national determined contributions NDC targets are among the most ambitious. It further affirms that they are compatible with the Paris Agreement target of keeping global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2050. Similarly, the Gambia's second NDC has been set to further improve upon this by increasing its emission reduction target to 49.7% by 2030, indicating strong mitigation potential through circular economic actions. However, achieving these targets could be challenging as the COVID-19 pandemic has caused an urgent increase in health and welfare spending. This resulted in the diversion or redirection of scarce and limited resources to respond to the immediate needs of the pandemic. Thus, the COVID-19 pandemic poses additional constraint to our development process. This pandemic has negatively impacted on the implementation and attainment of our current national development plans objectives through its effects on the people and the economy, including operations of business. Going forward, the government intends to reprioritize its national development plan into COVID-19 recovery plan that is people-centered, resilient, green, and leaves no one behind. This COVID-19 recovery plan will transcend human health to encompass multi-sectoral elements while simultaneously addressing the triple crisis of pandemic, climate change, and the destruction of nature. However, it is important to note that as at end 2020, the present value of the Gambia's overall debt to GDP ratio was estimated at 67.5%. As the pandemic continues to put pressure on our economic system, this ratio could worsen. Ever narrowing sovereign fiscal space and the need for increased borrowing is diverting funding away from the underlying priorities, including climate and nature activities, and intensifying the need to manage our debt. We therefore call on the international community to support the climate vulnerable countries in undertaking approaches for debt management and for supporting financing for climate and nature priorities. The international community can support this situation through upcoming special drawing rights SDR allocations. This SDR can support the poorest and most climate vulnerable countries in overcoming the significant liquidity shortfall stemming from COVID-19 crisis. The SDR allocations in proportion to member countries, IMF quotas, which are low for LDCs. Low-income countries would receive only $21 billion of the total 650 billion SDR, $650 billion SDR issues. This is at variance with the spirit of the Paris Agreement. Therefore, as part of their commitments behind the Paris Agreement, we call on developed countries to reallocate their allocations of the SDR to countries with the greatest climate vulnerability. On this note, I thank you all for your kind attention.